Hey everyone, thank you again for joining me today. I have a topic that I've done in my groups at my work last couple weeks, so I just wanted to come here and share with you guys, and hopefully somebody gets something out of them. So, on here in the screen, I have the blame game. In other words, I call it the blaming habit, right? So, we're just going to talk about the concept of blame altogether and what that means. Alright, so we're going to start with our first page here. And anyone can notice I'm on Photoshop. This is just, like I said before, just an easy way and I can just kind of relay the information. Okay, what is blaming? So I have here, and how I discuss blaming is assigning responsibility and accountability. So, is that helpful? Is blaming helpful? Is assigning accountability to someone or that responsibility, can that be helpful? So what do you guys think? And so it just depends, right? Sometimes it can and sometimes it can't. So an example I like to use is think of like a coach or a mentor or someone a boss telling you when you're doing something wrong, right? Should you accept that responsibility for that mistake? And the answer is yes, right? I need to accept that responsibility and be humble and modest that I did make a mistake, right? So I can grow and learn from that. So someone pointing that out to us that we've messed up is a point where we can understand, be aware, and so we can learn and grow, right? So in assigning blame, it's kind of like in that video I talked about being humble and being able to navigate that constructive criticism part. And it can be a tricky thing, assigning blame and not getting someone defensive. And like I said before, my tip is usually I'll start off with someone is doing well at first, right? And use that encouraging, and then after that, I assign the blame of what they could have done or they may have done wrong or how they can improve. So blaming altogether is not a bad thing, kind of like we talked about our anger, but it also can be not healthy if we constantly blame someone instead of owning that responsibility and accountability of something we've done, right? And that is what, in essence, the blaming habit is. So let's just say that, for example, if I was on a team with someone, think of football or basketball, and we lost, and I blamed everyone, or maybe most time I'll single one person out, like the coach or a certain player, and I'll just say they are the reason we lost, right? So it may be true that they are to blame and they have some accountability, but it is not fair to say that they are the reason we lost, right? Because if you have a team and a group situation, most of the time there's everyone has their own accountability and responsibility in the group and team. Now, let's say it could be very rare. Someone could have, let's say, 85% of the accountability for losing, maybe, but then I'd still, if there was a coach on a team, I would say it would be most of the slice of accountability would that be coach, because they're deciding who's in and out of the game, right? So if someone's really playing not well at all, it's their job to bring that person out and put someone and replace them with someone else. So, what do we get out of blaming other people when we are actually accountable? So think about what it feels like when something happens that it is our fault. How do we feel about that? And you could just say overall you just feel this discomfort, right? Maybe you feel guilty, maybe you feel shame, maybe you feel like your confidence, your self-worth is lowered because you didn't succeed or do well. So there's a lot of reasons why we would want to shift that blame to someone else, right? Another reason could be you want to get out of a consequence or something, right? Um, but there are things that we can get out of, right? But what is the main consequence of that? Of not accepting when something is my fault? And we've kind of already said it before. It's a moment to grow and see what we did and then think of alternative choices we could have done to get better outcomes, right? Um, like, for example, if I was in class or in school and I got a D on my assignment, is it healthy for me to say that my teacher is a horrible teacher? It's his fault or her fault that I got this D. Now, what can help you understand the slice of accountability that you have is just the evidence in the situation. For example, let's say that my peers in class got all A's and then someone got a B and one person got a C. So that would tell me that my teacher is not the main accountability of why I got the D. It's most likely me. It is most likely my slice of the pie that I should be accountable. There's maybe something I could have done to control and done better. For example, I could have studied more. I could have asked the teacher for, better understanding what was on the test. Maybe I could have asked, someone maybe who was doing well if I could study with them. There could have been something I could have done better. So, to answer all these, what do I get from accepting blame? We talk about being humble. And this blaming habit, a lot of times, is reactive. And it protects the ego. And think of that ego as just that, I really don't want to get into it too much today, but just that concept of yourself, right? And your coping mechanisms, this one happens automatically, so it just shields us from that discomfort, because feeling that discomfort would be too painful and it would fracture our confidence and our self-worth so much that our egos just automatically protect us from that and blocks and put it on something else. It can't be my fault. It's got to be this or that, this person. It can't be my fault. It'd just feel too bad to do that, right? All right, so let's go to the next page. So, we've kind of talked about this a little bit. What should I be accountable for? And I'll go with this next part, influence versus control. And honestly, that is what we need to be accountable for. Things mostly that I can control and things I have influence over. And so what I mean by things I can control. For example, I can control my actions, right? My words that I say. I can control my choices, right? I can control my thinking. Well, for the most part, right? We can't control our automatic thoughts, but we can control what we want to presently put in our head. And I should be accountable for those things, right? When I make a choice that wasn't very healthy or helpful. And what about influence? And so what do I mean by that? Influence is like things I don't have control over, but I do have some kind of effect on that. And a lot of times that could be people, right? When I do groups or even presenting this information to you, I'm being an influence over you, right? And how much of an influence, how much you utilize and incorporate what I say is up to you. So that's why you have the control and power of how much you want to utilize the things I have to say. That's up to you. But I also have to be accountable for what I decide to tell you. For example, let's say that we're siblings, and I talk to you and convince you that you should go steal money from our parents and give it to both of us. We'll split it, right? So let's say you get in trouble, you get caught for stealing, and you're going to get the majority of the accountability, right? Should I be accountable for suggesting and telling you should do that? What do you guys think? How much % would that accountability be? Now, it really depends on the evidence of the situation. Let's say that I'm 16 and the sibling is 5. So I would probably be a lot of accountability should be for me. Let's say, but I'm 16 and the sibling is 15, right? Then I would say that maybe they should be most accountable. But I should be accountable for that influence, right? I gave you the idea. I encourage you to do it. So, can you learn to believe everything is your fault? So this is the opposite end of you being that person who constantly blames other people to feel better about yourself. This is the person who gets blamed. They are the scapegoat for everything. They constantly get told that, whatever the situation is, it's your fault, right? And I imagine we've all felt like that at some time, especially growing up in our families. We can kind of feel this way when we're getting punished as a group, but you'll know when you get singled out. And a lot of times the kids I work with, they'll say they feel this way because they have actually done things that have broken the trust, the reliability within them, and then feel like after that point they're always feels like they're the blame. And I just tell them, when I did, like I talked about with the building trust video, is they can't give up. They have to just be reliable, and that over time they will develop that trust again. And that's part of what's coming out of. But sometimes it's not the situation. Sometimes it's just you just get targeted by a person and made to feel like everything is your fault when it's not, because they are doing the blaming habit, right? And this could be a group of siblings, it could be a group of kids in a class, it could be a team at work. And the thing is, either that person will accept all that blame and feel that low self-worth and value, and they'll just be passive about it, or maybe passive aggressive, or they'll just not accept that accountability and be assertive and just either talk to the leader or supervisor or boss or whoever, or leave the group. So people can learn, especially the younger you are, you can make to believe that everything is your fault, and you just take everything, what do I want to say, not too serious, but you take something little of your slice, your pie, your slice of accountability is small, but you think it's a lot bigger than it actually is. Hopefully I explained that. Okay. All right. Ooh. Okay. So how do we catch ourselves when we start utilizing this blaming habit? Like I said, there's a reason for it, right? Maybe we just grew up, that's how we defend ourselves, that's how we just got out of trouble. Maybe we just felt such a low self-worth that this is our way that we can just shield ourselves from that, right? So number one is, like we've already said this, is to be humble and question yourself, right? When you're about to assign blame, ask yourself, what is my slice of the pie? Where is my accountability? How accountable am I in this situation? So you look for the evidence, right? And number two goes along just like with that, is to be mindful, right? Be mindful in the moment of the situation. Be mindful of your present thoughts and your perspective, right? And try to think with that rational mindset. Try to get that emotional mindset to the side. I mean, we don't want to exclude it. We want to be in this wise mindset. We want to be rational, right? What are the facts? Like I was doing with the teacher, right? If all the other kids in class got A's, is it really the teacher's fault? Now, if it was the opposite, and if all the students got C's and I got a D, now that could be evidence to conclude that the teacher could have majority of, maybe they didn't teach what was on the test. Maybe the test was just a lot of challenging questions, right? And number three, I say this with about anything we talk about that you want to change, you have to be invested and interested to change. Just knowing something is wrong is not enough, right? Think of really overweight doctors, right? Or doctors who are smoking cigarettes, right? Or knowing something is not enough. Even you can even say therapists or counselors who are, what do I want to say, doing very unhealthy things, right? They know better, but knowing something is not enough. You have to set goals. You have to be invested and interested enough to set goals and then make a plan for that change, right? What am I going to do different in that next situation? So let's just say if I wanted to change my blaming habit of other people, um, my my goal could be, I want to blame, I want to blame people less and take responsibility when it's helpful. So because I want to learn from my mistakes. So the plan could be, before I blame someone, I'm going to take 10 seconds to just think about, my accountability. Or before I assign blame, I'm going to get feedback from other people, right? Or maybe my plan is I get really hot-headed and frustrated, and I get really emotional. That emotional mindset gets in there too much. I want to calm down before I start assigning blame, right? So you just got to be creative in what your game plan is and how you want to do this differently. How do you want to accept blame, when I need to, and be mindful and aware when people are trying to put it on you when it's not your slice of the pie. It's not your accountability. So I don't know if you guys need this. When I talked about this, I did kind of like a circle. Now I'm using a mouse, so everyone don't give me too much hard time. So for example, let's say that, what could be a situation? I lost at Uno. No, that's a bad one. I got in trouble from my mom because I didn't clean the chore. I didn't clean, or I didn't do my chores, right? So, if I'm doing the blaming habit, let's say that I blamed, I blamed my brother because they were playing video games as I was trying to clean and I got too distracted. That's my excuse, right? I didn't clean because my brother was playing video games and got too distracted. And that pie is supposed to be kind of in the middle, but it's okay. And let's say that, this brings up a good point. I'm glad I'm doing this. So let's say another slice of the pie is my mom doesn't reward me. So it's my mom's fault. And then my slice is right here. I said, I could have done better. So that's me. And let's say two more slices. Let's say that I was hungry, so I couldn't do my chores. I've actually heard that excuse before, so we'll do an H. I was hungry and couldn't do my chores. And what could be another excuse I've heard before of why someone doesn't do their chores? Let's just say boring. Okay. Now, the point I wanted to make too is this is how, when we're talking about responsibility, this is how it's going to kind of look, right? And the reason is because even we don't think about it, there is multiple factors and variables that happen into a situation, right? Kind of just like this. Partly I didn't do my chores because I'm bored, and my brother's distracting me. I was hungry, and my mom doesn't really incentivize me to. Maybe I just don't get in trouble enough if I don't do it, or I don't get an allowance, or whatever, right? So that those are my excuses. And like I said, sometimes we'll make up excuses just to try to get out of something, right? But what is it that I am? What am I getting? What am I also shielding myself feeling wise? What am I getting out of doing this blame habit? This is the blame habit right here, and that's to feel guilty that I didn't do my chores, right? That could be me feeling like a bad kid for, you know, because I'm just not responsible, right? This is not my, I'm not responsible for, this situation, this outcome. These other major factors are. Um, so if I continue to have this habit here, I won't change. I won't do anything different. I'll keep not doing chores. So if I want to do something different, I have to take ownership over it and responsibility. And so the more rational and true, if we're going to be kind of in reality based here, is me not doing my chores. Oh my gosh, I'm doing so bad. There we go. Probably looks like that. Looks like kind of like Pac-Man. That's me. Just because who controls me? Myself, right? Now, my brother playing video games, yeah, that's distracting. So I'll put him there. My mom not really incentivizing me to do my chores. Yeah, it's probably a factor. Maybe I'm tired. Maybe I'm hungry. Right, those are all reasons not to do it. But they're not enough of a reason for me not to do it, right? Because all these things here, these things don't control me. My mom doesn't control me, my brother doesn't control me, me being tired doesn't control me, unless we're talking about exhausted, right? Me being hungry doesn't control me. Those things influence me. Oh, here we go. Those things influence me, right? So, hopefully I explained that pretty well. If you have any questions or any feedback, put it down below. And I hope someone gets something out of it. Like I said, I do these groups already. I have the work on my journal. I just want to share, and anyone who wants to listen to them, this is a great video for anyone who wants to just improve themselves, or anyone who's trying to explain the blaming habit to other people so they can avoid it, right? But I hope you guys have a great day, and do things that you find are fun and make you happy. But remember, all things in balance, right? You got to take care of your needs, and you got to take care of things that you may not want to sometimes, right? Like chores. All right, guys, you have a great day. I'll see you later.